So Herman, tell us a little bit about your involvement with NOMA and how this whole studio at Georgia Tech was started and
Sure.
where it all began.
Sure. I've had the pleasure of teaching at Georgia Tech for the past 8 years now. And there was obviously a need to enrich and hopefully support the lives of students there. And there were discussions about having a student NOMA chapter, which NOMA is short for National Organization of Minority Architects. And I believe it was 3 years ago that we made a decision to not just really strengthen our chapter, but also pursue the competitions. And there's a student competition that happens every year, and there's a program brief which is submitted. And I think for the past 3 years, it's been right around 14 schools from across the country, 14 schools of architecture that have submitted for this competition. And in our first year, we were awarded 4th place. In our second year, we were awarded 2nd place. And this year, we were awarded 1st place. But there was also very special recognition, and that was Outstanding Student Chapter of the Year as well. So this was a very good year for Georgia Tech Student NOMA Chapter.
Nekia, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to participate in this studio.
Well, I attended Georgia Tech for my undergraduate degree. There really wasn't a NOMA program back in the day. Herman was still there kind of as advisory and helping us through learning about the profession, but we didn't really have a connection with NOMA. I went to University of Tennessee in Knoxville for graduate school, and there's an active chapter of NOMA there, and that was the first time I had actually started participating. And I went to the San Francisco conference in 2005, and I think we started getting a little interest in the competition at that point, but by that time I had graduated. So I come back here, and Herman's kind of stirring the mix, getting the chapter here really going, and go for it.
So what was the context of the studio this year, the site, the program? What kind of students participated? Anyone?
All students were invited to participate in the studio. It's graduate and undergraduate, kind of whoever was interested in the program. I guess this year's competition, the site is always situated wherever the conference is being held. This year it was in St. Louis.
Okay.
And in, I guess, a historic neighborhood, Benton Park. And the program was to design a single-family home for a multi-generational family immigrating from Colombia. And they had to address universal accessibility and some sustainable
How do you think what was the process of the studio? How did it progress, and how did you develop things?
Well, one of the things that we learned from our first year is that by the time the schools receive the program brief, and by the time the project is due,
not much time.
there isn't much time at all. There's maybe about 3 weeks. So one of the things we did this year was we actually started the studio in the summer. We had something of a heads up. We still didn't know what the actual program was going to be, but we knew that it was going to be in St. Louis, and we knew that it was going to be dealing with residential issues. So basically our summer studio was much more about urban context, urban analysis, even a little bit of urban design, 101, you might say. But it was an opportunity to really let the students get to know St. Louis a little bit more, so that we felt as though that when school would start, we could really hit the ground running with this project. And it was successful for a number of reasons. It gave the students time to work together, which was crucial, but it also gave them quite a lot of knowledge to build from. And we felt as though that was a real important ingredient to success for our studio this year.
4th place, 2nd place, 1st place. What's next?
We dominate for the next decade.
All right.
And I would also like to say that my future plans are that, and I'm not sure Nekia has heard this as a plan.
Oh, surprises.
But my future plans are that this will be the last year that I do it. We had an incredible group of instructors this year. It was a combination of Nekia, another young professor, one of my former students, Don Trimble, and myself. And we pretty much did kind of a tag team, you might say. Time is crucial, and we don't always make it to studio at the same time. I'll just put it that way. Oftentimes I can be notoriously late, but we knew that there was a support, a built-in system. And we felt as though that with 3 professors pretty much teaching almost part-time here, we were still able to provide the substance and the direction that the students need. And I felt as though that Georgia Tech is also in a great position to consider bright, new, young talent, such as Nekia and Don, if it's something that they desire. But I would be very honored and very excited if this were something that could really be in the hands and the direction of Don and Nekia and others like her for next year.